Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Vaibhav Jyotsna Srivastav, and with me is Manoj Singh Rana, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. World leaders call for action and inclusion of all countries towards a cleaner and greener planet at a climate summit hosted by South Korea. In a major policy shift, China allows couples to have 3 children. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warns that proposed unity government aimed at replacing him would be a danger to the country's security. India's COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 91.60%. WHO awards Indian Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan for efforts in tobacco control. And Sanjeet clinches gold for India in Asian Boxing Championships in Dubai. Amit Panghal and Shiv Thapa settle for silver medals. As the number of COVID cases is on the rise, we appeal to our listeners not to lower the guard. Follow all the precautions, and all those who have taken the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine to get vaccinated with the second dose at the scheduled time. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. World leaders call for more action and inclusion of all countries in the global drive towards a cleaner and greener planet at a climate summit hosted virtually by South Korea. South Korea, which recently announced plans to cut finance for international coal projects, is seeking a bigger role in the global initiative to go green. Advanced nations have laid out ambitious emissions-cutting goals in recent months, as well as plans to ultimately go carbon neutral by 2050. The 2-day summit ended yesterday in the second of its kind following the inaugural meeting held in Copenhagen in 2018 and is focused on public-private partnerships, especially in the developing countries. In a major shift in its population policy, China today announced that couples may have up to 3 children from the existing limit of 2 after recent census data showed a dramatic decline in births in the world's most populous country. The official news agency Xinhua reported that the change was approved during a Politburo meeting chaired by President Xi Jinping today. The decision in 2016 to relax China's one-child policy and allow people to have a second child failed to reverse the country's falling birth rate, as the high cost of raising children in Chinese cities deterred many couples from starting families. The state news agency said the policy change will come with supportive measures which will be conducive to improving our country's population structure, fulfilling the country's strategy of actively coping with an aging population and maintaining the advantage endowment of human resources.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned that a proposed unity government aimed at replacing him would be a danger to the country's security. He urged fellow right-wingers not to back a deal with after ultra-nationalist Naftali Bennett said he would form a coalition with the centrist party. Prime Minister Netanyahu's opponents have until Wednesday to form a government. If they're successful, it would bring an end to the rule of the country's longest-serving Prime Minister. On Monday, the centrist opposition leader Yair Lapid warned that many obstacles remained before a unity government could be formed. Tensions remain following the recent Gaza conflict, which also triggered intercommunal clashes in Israeli cities between the Jews and the Arabs. India has reported the lowest number of daily new COVID-19 cases in 50 days. A total of 152,734 cases were reported in the last 24 hours. The recovery rate has increased to 91.6%. The recoveries continue to outnumber the daily new cases for the 18th consecutive day. A total of 238,022 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. The total number of recoveries across the country so far is over 2,56,92,000. 3,128 deaths were reported in the last 24 hours, taking the death toll to over 3,29,000. Meanwhile, the cumulative number of COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country has exceeded 21.58 crore. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you an interview with Dr. R.S. Sharma, Chairman, Empowered Group on Technology and Data Management to Combat COVID-19, with Suparna Sekia, AIR correspondent.
There is a lot of misinformation going around regarding the performance of CoWIN. So there are reports that people are not finding slots of vaccination on the platform. What would you like to say on this?
I think this is a very unfortunate thing that a very transparent platform which does not distinguish between the VVIP and an ordinary person, which makes everybody looks at the same data, same set of vacancies, is now, all kinds of misinformation being spread. There's no question of any, sort of preference or priority being given to anybody. So it's now why people are not able to get the vacancies, all of them. The problem is not in the platform itself. The problem is in the availability of vaccines of that particular age group, which is 18 to 45, which are being provided by the state government, and the actual people who are wanting to have those vaccines. That is the problem. So if you have a demand-supply mismatch of a very high order, obviously there will be very few people who will be satisfied. The rest person who are trying will not be satisfied. So that is the issue. And not the fact that some people are, sort of being prioritized and stuff like that. So it's not true.
Dr. Sharma, how susceptible is the CoWIN platform to hacking?
Well, everything is susceptible, but the point is that we have made CoWIN platform so strong and so, kind of robust from the cyber attacks that it is not possible to attack that the CoWIN platform becomes a victim of any cyber attack. We don't see that possibility. We have employed the best in class, anti-cyber attack technologies. So I don't think it should be possible.
Some people have raised doubts that CoWIN is a mass data collection instrument. Your comment on this, sir?
No, it's absolutely, bogus type of thing. There are certain people whose job is basically to condemn anything which is good done in India. They had done that in case of Aadhaar also, that it is collecting data, it is creating a surveillance mechanism, it is violating privacy. And that particular hypothesis or that particular assessment was trashed by the Honorable Supreme Court in their famous judgment in Aadhaar case. So similar is the case here. Now, just to, ask a counter question, what are the information we are collecting regarding people? So we are collecting their name, we are collecting their gender, and we are collecting their year of birth. Now, obviously, name and gender are not some kind of secret stuff. Unless you told me that your name was Aparna, I could not have talked to you, right? I did not know. So you have to disclose your name necessarily for establishing any communication. Similarly, the gender is not really something very difficult to determine. And your age, date of year of birth is not a state secret. So ultimately, what is the information which we are collecting? These informations are basic information.
True,
and that they are required for the purpose of registration on the platform and for getting the vaccination on the platform, because ultimately when you say that I am X and you register as X, and when you go to the vaccination center, you have to establish that you are X. You are the same person who had registered on the platform. So there's no question of, collecting any data, all trash and all, in a motivated way being, done in order to target, our technology, sort of backbones or marvels which India has created in the past. And this is no exception.
Dr. Sharma, why is digitizing this vaccination drive important?
Oh, this is so important. Tell me, how would you have, managed this kind of vaccination program? We have done 20 crore vaccination and each person's, details are with us. Now, suppose you got vaccinated at place X and then you had to travel to place Y, Delhi, and probably you went to Trivandrum. Then obviously, you can't come to Delhi back again for vaccination purposes. So you should have the facility to get, second dose in Trivandrum. Now, how will you be able to get it? You will be able to get it only when the data is portable. The data is accessible from Trivandrum also. So, portability or mobility is factored in, and the citizen-centric, philosophy that citizens should have all the facilities of going from one place to another place. Also, a citizen which is being administered vaccine X in the first instance, he or she should be administered the same vaccine after the requisite period. Now, obviously, you can't ensure that. And in India, there are many people who will forget as to what vaccine was given to them, whether that was Covaxin or Covishield. So therefore, it is important for people, for any system to remember as to what vaccine was given to that person. So this is also important. This can be done only when you have a digital, system. So digital systems actually make things transparent, remove information asymmetry, remove rent seeking, provide same information to everybody, and actually take care of the citizens' requirements of mobility as also the requirements of being given the same vaccine the second time.
So some people are also of the view that only digitally literate people have access to CoWIN platform. How are you addressing the matter of enabling India's rural population with limited access to the internet and smartphones to register and get slots for COVID vaccination? And what steps are you taking to make CoWIN accessible to this segment?
That's a very good question. And let me enumerate first of all, it is not necessary that you should get a registration done or the appointment done in order to get a vaccine. We have the facility of a walk-in, jabs also, which means that without registration, you can go to a vaccination center. And if there are vacancies, you can get a jab. And just for your information, we had a majority of the people have got the vaccination through on the spot, without prior registration or prior appointment. 53%, if I'm not wrong. Now, that's one part. So the system allows that you do not need to necessarily get an online booking. One. Two, the system allows as many as 4 people on the same mobile phone. Basically, if you have a mobile phone, one in a family, then all 4 members of the family can be registered against the same mobile number and, they can get the vaccine. So that also makes the system very inclusive. Third, all the common service centers of the country, which are 250,000 in number, and we have about 600,000 villages, so almost between any 3 villages, there is one common service center. Now, those common service centers have also been empowered to provide assisted registration facilities and booking facilities for the population. So that's the third matter. Fourth, we have recently opened the call center, 1075 is the number, toll-free number, on which you can actually do a booking and registration using that call center. So there are multiple methods to ensure that everybody is included. So inclusion has been one of the fundamental philosophies of developing CoWIN platform.
Can you elaborate for our listeners the entire process of registration on CoWIN? How easy or hard is it for the layman?
Right. Let me put it this way, that the CoWIN platform has got 4 components. The first component is basically registration and the reservation system or the booking system. The second component is for the hospitals to basically onboard on the platform and declare their vacancies and schedules, and also the vaccine and the price of the vaccine in case they are private hospitals. And the third component is essentially vaccination module, which basically records the vaccination events at the time of vaccination. And the fourth component is certificate module, which means enables you to download the certificate. Now, the only module which are citizen facing, one is the certificate download module, another is the registration and the reservation module. Now, registration module is very simple. You just have to have a mobile phone, a smartphone, and using that smartphone, you basically go to the CoWIN website, or you can have Arogya Setu application. Arogya Setu, there are 16 crore Arogya Setu applications that have been downloaded. You go to Arogya Setu, you just plug in your number, and there your account is created. Or if an account is already created, your account is displayed before you, and there you can enter the names of as many as 4 people of your family, their name, their gender, and their age, the year of birth, and the kind of document they will be presenting before the vaccination center. So that's what they have to enter. And thereafter, you can look at the availability of various slots in your area. And there also we have map. Map is one method. So vaccination centers near you will be shown. And second is you can search the vaccination centers in the availability in, PIN code wise, or also district and state wise. So basically there are multiple methods of finding out the hospitals in your area. And then each hospital shows which vaccine and what age group those vacancies are there, and the price in case these are private hospitals. They also say how much price will be charged. So it's very simple. And then, looking at that, you can book the vacancy. In fact, what we have done is that even for finding out the vacancy, you do not even have to log on to your platform. You can just simply, go to the Arogya Setu or go to the COVID website and straight away, search the vacancies available. And once you know the vacancies available, then you can go to your account. So basically, we provide an account kind of situation where every time you plug in your mobile number and you get an OTP, then you have access to your account. So it's pretty simple method. And just to tell you that there are 240 million people registered on the platform. So, it's pretty easy. One can understand that, if 24 crore people have registered on the platform, obviously it's not so complicated.
Sir, soon third-party apps will be able to integrate CoWIN API in their own apps and let everyone directly book vaccine slots. Can you tell us more about this?
Right. You see, all these 4 components I talked about, they are the components connected to each other through APIs. APIs are like connectors, some kind of plugs and, where you can just plug in. So what we had done from the beginning itself, we had said that these are the APIs and we had published those APIs. Now recently we have published the API policy, which means how applications, what is the process for developing third-party applications and what is the process for integration of these applications into CoWIN. So that way all the 2 components, which is the onboarding of hospital and also the registration system and reservation system and also the vaccination system, everything is open and third parties can develop applications. So once they develop applications, they will be able to provide their own interface. However, it's important that all these applications talk to the same data because, suppose you registered through one application and then, you access the registration through another application or another website. It should not happen that website does not display your data. Your data should remain at a central place, which is CoWIN platform. So that's the way the whole thing has been architected.
Dr. Sharma, besides registration, what other major role does CoWIN play?
No, the major role the CoWIN plays, exactly I told you, the CoWIN records the vaccination, CoWIN publishes the vacancies, CoWIN registers people, CoWIN provides appointment to the people, CoWIN provides certificate to the people after vaccination. So these are many, facilities that from a policymaker's point of view, CoWIN provides an absolutely real-time data of the vaccination taking place, real-time data of the, the vaccine types taking place, real-time data relating to the adverse impact of the vaccines taking place. So, and of course, which are the underserved areas where we require more vaccinations. Those, statistics and data which is produced and which is a real-time data, you can go to dashboard.cowin.gov.in and then you can see all the data of the vaccinations happening today. Vaccinations happened since last 30 days or since the beginning itself when the 16th January, the Honorable Prime Minister had launched the vaccinations. And so therefore, from a policy maker's point of view, it provides a huge amount of useful information where the policies can be fine-tuned based on the data. And we all believe in data-driven policy making. So basically, the more data we have, the better policies we will make. Suppose, we find that one particular vaccine is creating adverse impacts in people of certain age group or whatever other things. So the doctors can take then the call as to what should be our strategy going forward. So I think from the citizen's point of view, from the hospital's point of view, from the policymaker's point of view, from every point of view, CoWIN serves every sector or every part, every stakeholder in the ecosystem.
Dr. Sharma, thank you for joining with us.
Thank you very much, Aparna, for having me on your platform.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news.
3 steps to stay protected and stay safe from COVID-19. Wear face mask, 2 gaz ki duri to maintain social distancing, maintain hand and face hygiene.
Welcome back. You're listening to the World News. There are signs the UK is in the early stages of a third wave of coronavirus infections. This is according to a scientist advising the government. Professor Ravi Gupta from the University of Cambridge said, although new cases were relatively low, the B.1.617.2 variant had fueled exponential growth. He said ending COVID restrictions in England on the 21st of June should be postponed. Environment Secretary George Eustice said the government could not rule out a delay to the planned lockdown easing. On Sunday, the UK reported more than 3,000 new cases of COVID-19 infections for a fifth day in a row. Prior to this, the UK had not surpassed that number since the 12th of April. Malaysian government has said all malls will have to be shut while 17 essential service sectors will be allowed to operate during the impending 2-week total lockdown starting from the 1st of next month. These sectors include healthcare, telecommunications and media, food and beverage, utilities as well as banking. Senior Minister Ismail Sabri Yaqub said shopping malls will need to be closed except supermarkets and premises dealing in food and beverage and the basic necessities. This announcement came after the Prime Minister's office announced on Friday that Malaysia would be undergoing a total lockdown from Tuesday till the 14th of next month.
The Bangladesh government is planning to impose stricter lockdown in border districts. Health Minister Zahid Malik told the media today that Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has instructed authorities to put the border districts under strict lockdown after a sudden spike was noticed in these parts. He said that coronavirus infection has gone up in the bordering districts, which is a matter of concern for the government. Earlier, the government had imposed a week-long strict lockdown in the northwestern district of Chopa Nawabganj on the 24th of May, which has been further extended till June the 7th to control the surge of COVID-19 cases. This year, WHO Director General's Special Award has been given to Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan. Every year, the World Health Organization, WHO, recognizes individuals or organizations in each of the 6 WHO regions for their accomplishments in the area of tobacco control. Director General of WHO, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, has said that Dr. Harshvardhan's leadership was instrumental in the 2019 national legislation to ban e-cigarettes and heated tobacco products. In a tweet, Dr. Harshvardhan said tobacco-free homes and tobacco-free society continue to remain important personal missions in his life.
At the domestic stock markets, key indices posted over 1% gains each, with the Nifty hitting a fresh all-time high today, but the rupee weakened slightly against the US dollar. In the international markets, Brent crude oil futures traded close to $70 a barrel. We have a report from the Business World.
At the stock markets, the Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange climbed 515 points or 1% to close at 51,937 today. Nifty at the National Stock Exchange advanced 147 points or 1% to end at a record high of 15,583. Among the global markets, key indices in Asia Pacific ended mixed. So China's Shanghai Composite Index rose 0.4%, Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index gained 0.1%, and South Korea's Kospi Index moved up 0.5%. But Japan's Nikkei 225 Index dropped 1%, and Singapore's Straits Times Index fell 0.5%. In Europe, France's CAC 40 had fallen 0.1%, and Germany's DAX had shed 0.3% in intraday trade. Stock markets in UK were closed for a holiday. Crude oil prices firmed up, with the Brent trading nearly $70 a barrel, underpinned by the bright outlook for fuel demand growth in the next quarter, while investors looked ahead to the OPEC Plus meeting this week to see how producers will respond. So Brent crude futures advanced 94 cents to trade at $69.66 a barrel. US crude oil climbed 95 cents to $67.27 a barrel. Back home, gold rose 195 rupees to 48,608 rupees per 10 grams at the Delhi's bullion market, but silver shed 15 rupees to 70,521 rupees per kilo. And at the forex market, the rupee weakened 17 paise to 72 rupees and 61 paise against the US dollar. This is Lalema Aneja Dang for World News All India Radio.
And in sports, Indian heavyweight boxer Sanjeet defeated Olympic silver medalist Vasily Levitt in the 91 kg final to clinch gold medal at the Asian Boxing Championships in Dubai on Monday. Earlier defending champion Amit Panghal and Shiv Thapa settled for silver medals at the Asian Boxing Championships in Dubai. Panghal lost to reigning world and Olympic champion Zoirov Shakhobidin of Uzbekistan in a 2-3 split decision in the men's final of the 52 kg category. This is the third loss for Panghal at the hands of Zoirov ahead of the Tokyo Olympics. Thapa lost to Mongolia's Batarsuk Chinzurig in a 2-3 split decision in the 64 kg finals. The Indian contingent has sought review of Amit's gold medal bout, which he lost 2-3 against world and Olympic champion Shakhobidin Zoirov of Uzbekistan. Shiv Thapa lost 2-3 to Mongolia's Batarsuk Chinzurig in the 64 kg final, taking home a silver medal. This was Thapa's fifth successive medal at the event.
In the French Open tennis, former world number one Roger Federer defeated Denis Istomin of Uzbekistan 6-2, 6-4, 6-3 to reach the second round of men's singles on Monday. World number two Daniil Medvedev of Russia recorded his first win at Roland Garros on his fifth attempt as he swept aside Kazakhstan's Alexander Bublik 6-3, 6-3, 7-5. In women's singles, Iga Swiatek of Poland began her title defense with a comfortable win over Kaja Juvan of Slovenia 6-0, 7-5 in the first round match. And now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. New York Times writes Biden aims to rebuild and expand legal immigration. The Washington Post says Israel's Netanyahu fights to block opposition parties from taking power. The Guardian reports that France, Italy and Germany each vie for post-Brexit deals with the UK. Sydney Morning Herald writes that Singapore will vaccinate teens as PM outlines reopening plans. Gulf News says UAE Airlines is ready to take their chances as Europe opens up with travel corridors. Gulf News also writes China ends two-children-only policy. Plans to rapidly relocate hundreds more Afghans who worked for the British military and the UK government, mostly as interpreters, have been announced. It includes family members. More than 3,000 Afghans are expected to be allowed to settle in the UK, joining 1,300 who have already done so. The decision comes amidst fears for their safety as international troops prepare to leave the country. Defence Secretary Ben Wallace said it was only right to accelerate the plans. He added that those being relocated were those that might otherwise be at risk of reprisals from the Taliban. The issue has been a concern since British forces ended combat operations in Helmand in 2014, with troops who served there being amongst the most vocal in their support for measures to protect people who assisted them during their deployment. Earlier schemes applied strict criteria on who could apply for a new life in the UK and considered the Afghans' length of service in precise roles, for instance, favouring interpreters who worked with British troops on the front line in Helmand for more than a year. But under new government policy, any current or former locally employed staff who are assessed to be under serious threat to life will be offered priority relocation to the UK, regardless of their employment status, rank or role or length of time served.
Now a quick look at the headlines once again. World leaders call for action and inclusion of all countries towards a cleaner and greener planet at a climate summit hosted by South Korea. In a major policy shift, China allows couples to have 3 children. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warns that the proposed unity government aimed at replacing him would be a danger to country security. India's COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 91.60%. WHO awards the Indian Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan for efforts in tobacco control. And Sanjeet clinches gold for India in Asian Boxing Championships in Dubai. Amit Panghal and Shiv Thapa settle for silver medals. India is celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Russia. And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.